One of the reasons we use centralized application stores for downloading our applications is that we can trust the software that's installed on that store. If we install an application from a third-party website, it's possible that that app could contain malware. And once malware gets on your mobile device, it does have access to quite a bit of data. That's why a good best practice is to not install APK files onto your Android device. These are Android package kits that contain the app itself. And if you're installing from any source, it's very possible that that source might have malicious software. In Apple's ecosystem, this process is a bit more straightforward because the only way to install applications is through the curated Apple App Store. If you're on Android, a good safe location would be the Google Play or a trusted app store instead of simply downloading any file from any website. Installing these apps from anywhere but the larger app store is referred to as sideloading. And it's this sideloading process that can create problems for us from a security perspective because we don't have as much control over where those applications are coming from. One of the challenges with these mobile phones is that a lot of the operating system is hidden from view. There is a little bit of information you can turn on, though, using developer mode. This turns on capabilities that allow for you to debug using the USB connection. You can view additional memory statistics, and there's a lot more details and logs that you can gather when you're running in developer mode. If you have an Apple iPhone or an iPad, then you'll need to use the developer mode built into Xcode. Xcode is the developer environment that's available on macOS. So if you want to get additional log information or more details about how that device is performing, you will need a macOS device that is connected to your iPhone or your iPad. If you're on an Android device, you can configure developer mode on the Android device itself. You go to the Settings and About Phone option, and from there you tap the build number 7 times. That is your secret access into this developer mode, and you can configure and manage the developer mode from that same About Phone screen. As we've seen, these mobile devices are very good at restricting our access to the underlying operating system. But some enterprising researchers have found ways to gain more access to the OS of these mobile devices. If you're running on an Android, we often refer to this as rooting, and on an Apple iOS or iPad OS device, we refer to this as jailbreaking, although these terms tend to be used interchangeably. Whether you are rooting or jailbreaking, you are effectively modifying the firmware of that device. You're overriding the core operating system with a completely different operating system, and that's what's giving you access to the underlying OS. A device that has this level of root access effectively gives you complete control of that mobile device. So if you wanted to sideload your own apps, you can do that on a device that has been rooted or jailbroken. And if you have this device connected to an MDM, it no longer has that MDM capability. It is now an independent device. Sometimes downloading an application from a trusted app store isn't enough to keep your system safe. There could be situations where you might download an app that looks normal, but when you download it, it turns out to be an illegitimate application. A good example of this is the process that Google went through in 2021, where they removed 150 apps from their app store. And these were apps that did a lot of different things. Some of them were photo editing apps, some were games, some were QR code scanners. One app called Ultima SMS tried to subscribe users to a $40 a month SMS service without the user knowing that that was occurring. Some attackers have even tried infecting the development environment used to create the applications. For example, there was a malicious version of Xcode being used called Xcode Ghost, which effectively was malware that would infect its own code into the applications built on Xcode. A good best practice is to always check the source of where that download is coming from and to be very familiar with the application that you're installing on your mobile device. Many of our mobile devices provide us with a way to see how much data we're transferring over our wireless networks, and you can determine what applications may be performing more traffic transfers versus lower traffic transfers. If you happen to see one app that's suddenly using a lot of network usage, it may be related to a malware infection. There may be command and control information, or perhaps the malware is proxying your communication so that it can see into your encrypted packets. Some of these reports that you'll see in your mobile device are very detailed, and you can break down how much traffic is being transferred from different network connections and be able to break this down on an app-by-app basis. There are also a number of third-party reporting apps that can break down this for you in a different form to show additional graphs and metrics. And if you're not sure if malware is your issue, it's always a good idea to run a third-party malware scan to see if it identifies anything that might not be normal on your mobile device. When your mobile phone starts running poorly, you can really tell. It's not responsive to pushing on the screen, some of the applications perform slowly, and you can see the animations begin to chop and slow down. Very often, restarting the device will get the device back up and running with very good response time. And often you'll see there is an operating system update or an update for the application that might fix the code that's causing the rest of this to slow down. You also have the ability to close different apps that are running on your mobile device, so you might be able to close things you're not currently using and free up those resources for other apps. And if this is constantly occurring and you don't think it's a hardware problem, you might want to perform a factory reset. This will delete all of the software on your device. You're back at an original starting point, and then you can restore the applications and data from there. If you're on a different network or you want to control how much information is being transferred from your mobile device, you might want to set an alarm or alert that tells you when you're reaching a certain threshold. If you're on Android, this is a feature that is built in. It's a data warning and limit, and you can turn on this data warning to inform you when you hit a certain data limit over time. This is not a feature that is available natively in iOS, but there are capabilities in iOS to prevent you from transferring large information over a much slower cellular data connection. This data limit feature in Android allows you to receive a message telling you when you're reaching that upper threshold. So if you are on a limited data plan, you'll be able to react accordingly when you start to hit that threshold. This could also inform you of unusual traffic patterns, especially if a lot of information is being transferred. So if you have been infected with malware, this data usage limit may be the first notification you have that something unusual is going on. At that point, you might want to run a malware scan or check into the applications that you're using to see if you can limit how much data they happen to be transferring. If the device you're using is not able to connect to the network at all and not able to download anything from the internet, this might be something that is malicious, or it may just be a misconfiguration inside the mobile device. If it's malware, it may be restricting your access to those network resources so that you don't download any anti-malware software. If you think the issue is related to your Wi-Fi connection, you could disable and then re-enable, or you could try turning off all of the radios using airplane mode. It could be that restarting the device will resolve the problem. That clears out everything that might be in memory and starts your network connection over from a clean slate. And of course, if we're concerned about security, we might want to run that malware scan to see if something might have gotten onto your system. If you're on an iOS device, you can go to the Transfer or Reset iPhone section, and you can try resetting the network settings and then reconfiguring them to see if that solves your network connectivity issue. We get a lot of ads when we're surfing around the internet, but you may find that your phone is showing you a few more ads than you might normally get. This could be due to a malware infection that is simply showing you ads that are making money for the malware author. Trying to remove ads from these mobile devices has been an ongoing challenge. For example, in 2019, an app called Ads Blocker for Android promised to remove all of those ads from your system. In reality, this showed more ads on your mobile device, but if you went into the list of available apps to uninstall it, you'll find that it wasn't even listed on your system. This was part of a strain of malware known as fake ads block, and its goal was to show more ads on the screen and make more money for the malware developer. Ultimately, running an anti-malware scan can give you more feedback on whether this application is one that is legitimate or if it happened to be malicious. Malware authors know that the easiest way to get their malware on your phone is to have you install the malware yourself. Sometimes they do this when we're surfing the internet and they find a way to present you with a screen telling you that you're infected with malware, but all you have to do is click this button to install a security update. In reality, of course, you're clicking this button and you're installing malware. The challenge, of course, is that many of these alerts and warnings look very legitimate, and someone who's not familiar with this process might easily click that button to install the security update, and immediately they're now infected. Once this malware gets on your system, it can start asking you for additional access to your email, to any files that you may have stored, or anything else that's on your mobile device. These warning messages themselves are relatively benign. You can simply close the window and there's no harm done to your mobile device. But if you did happen to click the Install Security Update button, you're going to have to either delete everything on that device and start from scratch, or find a way to remove that malware from your system. In many cases, the folks that are developing the applications for your mobile device are different from the people that are manufacturing your mobile device. And for that reason, there could be inconsistencies on how these applications perform between one device and another. Many of us have experienced an app that is working normally and then suddenly closes with no warning, or it starts having very long delays when you're trying to use the app on your mobile phone. Or it could be that there are features in the app that you're trying to use and those features aren't working for one reason or another. And it could be that when the app is running, that it's drawing a lot of power and using up all of your battery. In all of these cases, the problem is probably related to the app itself. So you'll want to contact the developer of the application and download the latest version of the app to see if these bugs have been fixed in the latest version. Many of us have seen instances where private information has been leaked onto the internet for everyone to see. Sometimes this is due to a data breach on your mobile device. You may want to run an app scan or an anti-malware scan to see if something unexpected is running on your mobile phone. And if you think your device has been infected or has been breached in any way, you might want to perform a factory reset and perform a clean install of your operating system. This will certainly remove any malware that was there previously and leave you with a system that is a fresh install. And it may be that all of this data that somebody has gathered is not directly from your phone, but is from the cloud-based resources that you use to store this data. So if your data has been breached on the internet, make sure you check your iCloud or Apple Configurator logins, your Google Workspace logins, and change any passwords you may have associated with your Microsoft OneDrive. You might also want to consider adding some multi-factor authentication to any place where you're storing information in the cloud.